All right, welcome to Burn the Ship. First of all, thanks for coming. I know that
course.
your commute and your energy coming here means a lot to me. I wanted to say that first, but this is Burn the Ship. Our goal is to connect entrepreneurs with professionals that can help you go all in on your business, right? We talk to people that have walked the walk and talked the talk, experienced all the challenges that we experience as small business owners in hopes that we can bottle some of those skills up and teach them to the people that are watching.
Love it.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, man. First off, thanks so much for having me. Really, really appreciate it. So my name's Justin Krivanek. I am in the process of building multiple businesses at the moment. I've always had this goal of owning a portfolio of businesses. It originally kind of started, as I was working with franchisees in the restaurant space. Always kind of envied those guys. They were really close to every win and every loss of their business. And I was jealous of that. Like, honestly, I felt kind of insulated in my corporate role. I felt like whether they were winning or losing, they felt it in a different way. And I had this entrepreneurial itch. I started investing in real estate here in Atlanta, long-term residential rental properties, which has been awesome. But then, made a leap into the tech space. I started working for a restaurant tech startup. Was their first marketing hire, ultimately ended up leading a team of 15, went through multiple funding rounds. Awesome opportunity, great learnings, great people all along the way. But really kind of at the beginning of last year, I felt like I needed to go all in on the entrepreneurial side. I wanted to build my own book of clients from a marketing perspective. I wanted to help businesses. I wanted of a variety of industries, a variety of sizes, just help them solve problems. That's what I love doing. So kind of came up with a plan, left at the end of June, and opened up my marketing shop. It's called Tailwind Marketing Shop. My wife and I, we also own a pet sitting and dog walking business here in Atlanta. So it's that portfolio of businesses is kind of coming to life and helping small businesses, large businesses from a marketing perspective it's been the most rewarding part. It's probably too long of an intro, but
No, not really.
That's my story.
I want to know a little bit even deeper about your story, right? Because your journey's atypical, right? Like, let me think of how to describe this. But like you had a lot on your plate with this startup.
Yeah.
Onboarding people, different challenges every single day. You're helping other people hold themselves accountable to do their job. You're making sure that whatever content or material that you're putting out is in line with the mission of the company that you're working for. It's a very different thing than taking these challenges piece by piece in the small business world and person by person and kind of meeting people where they are and understanding what are the ways that you can solve problems for those people. So tell me, like, what was going through your mind as you're leaving that startup and you're looking to acquire the dog walking business? Like, really, what woke up that entrepreneur spirit in you?
I think it was like, without oversimplifying things, it really felt like because of the amazing people that I was working with in that startup space, it kind of felt like, man, I've already done a lot of this. Like, from the standpoint of I had autonomy to build the team the way that I felt like made sense, the strategy the way I felt like made sense. I always got feedback. I had support. But I felt like I had already kind of gone through some of that. And I tell people all the time, I think one of the coolest opportunities in that startup space and building the team and the strategy was every role that I hired for, like, I was the hands-on guy before I hired for that role. So I had this opportunity to feel what it was like to work that position in the space, and then ultimately bring on someone who's far more talented than me in that area to learn from, to work with, to partner with. And that was such a cool opportunity because I got a little bit of that feel in the beginning of like, man, this is hard, or the parts that you thought were going to be, somewhat easy were actually the hard parts. And then once you bring on that expert, we were, lucky enough to continue to have success to be able to do that. It was then like, man, you get to learn from that person, you get to partner with that person. So when I thought about like moving into the business side of things, it really was like, man, I could keep kicking this around for years and wondering, is it the right time? Do I have what it takes? And, still ask myself those questions like now.
Sure.
I think all entrepreneurs are always going to be asking themselves that question.
Imposter syndrome is a common thing around here,
exactly,
for sure.
Man. Exactly. But at the end of the day, it was kind of like, I think now's the time. And if I fall flat on my face, like, it's going to be all right. Like, cause you're going to learn along the way and there's going to be things that can come from that. But already just, 6 months into really focusing on it and the conversations with clients, like it's been like, oh no, there's just more and more opportunity the more
Sure.
I look at it, as long as I can kind of stay humble and keep learning through the process.
Well, it's very interesting because I think someone that climbs, I guess not really the corporate ladder, but like once you climb that ladder where you're building a team underneath you and you're managing people and you're the head of something,
Yeah.
I think most people's instinct is to climb another ladder.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
For sure.
That's how you see these people in these C positions, or that's how you see people. A headhunter might come to somebody like, hey, I know the guy. He's been in 20 different startups.
Yeah,
and he's
man.
done this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
He's taken these to, $1 billion to 100 billion in revenue type of companies. Like I've seen that over and over again where people are more prone to taking their experience and replicating it for another instance.
Yep.
Rather than stepping away from being that role for someone else and being that role for yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a very unique thing. Like you command at this point in your resume some 6-figure salary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you command that just from your credentials of like, I worked with this company this year, here was our success. Like in my mind, that experience is impossible to replace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it must have been something that you would be pretty passionate about, the learning experience of taking that on for yourself.
Yeah, man.
And
for
do
sure.
you dream about replicating the size of some of those instances that you were working with in the past? Like what is the goal for you?
Man, it's such a good question. Like, and the simple answer is no. I don't think about like, I don't have dreams of like 50 million ARR, 100 million ARR.
100 employees.
Yeah, like I think it all comes back to, I've met so many great people in my life, in my career, and it's really an opportunity to work with those people and help those people accomplish their definition of success. And I feel like everybody's got a different definition. For me, it's absolutely like flexibility. It's the opportunity to travel, to work from where I want to work, like all of that. It's different for everybody else. So when I think of that portfolio of businesses and I think about that long-term goal, it again is not the revenue line. It's more like, who do I get to do it with? And how does that help them achieve what they want? Because I think at the end of the day, the number that I'm after, like the number that feels comfortable, like it's not a big number.
Mhm.
And like, it's really more just about, I love the work. I love helping people solve problems. I love doing it with people that I learn from, people that challenge me, people who are just ultimately kind, like when it comes down to it. So I think that's like what really stuck out for me. And that's
Sure.
like kind of what's in my dreams versus ARR.
Sure.
But
No, that makes a lot of sense, and it's a good way to be. I think a good, like a way that I reflect on that is like finding ways to be happy right now.
yeah, man.
I think a lot of people set these goals, and I was super guilty of this early on in my career. This is probably something that I've only grown out of in the last 12 months,
Yeah.
really, is that you set these milestones for yourself and you say, if I can get here, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And if I can get here, I'll be happy. And then if I get here, I'll be happy. And you constantly slide this thing away from yourself where
Yeah.
you're like, I can deal with all this shit if I'm going to be happy in a year.
Yeah.
Or I can deal with it if I'm going to be happy in 2 years. Or I can deal with it if I'm going to be happy in 6 months. You have to find ways to be happy and fulfilled now.
Totally.
Like you have to find ways to fall in love with the process and not the outcome.
Yeah.
Or it is incredibly difficult to chase your goal at the same speed for a long period of time.
Totally, man. And it's like, man, it's spot on. There's no external factor that's going to make you happy. Like
Yeah.
that happiness is internal. Happiness is appreciating what you have, like not getting what you want. Like, I mean, it's all about something internal that is about being at peace with the present moment. Like, no need to go down a meditation tangent or anything like that. But
Yeah.
for like, man, 7 years ago, that's like when I really started spending a lot of time reading on, meditation and mindfulness, and like everything happens in the present moment. Nothing happens in the past, nothing happens in the future. It's all right now. So how do you impact that? How do you ultimately just be present in that moment?
Yeah.
Like, man, that's Yeah, it's tough though, because there's
It is a
always
super
that thing in
difficult
front of
thing.
you.
Yeah, and you combine that with like 10 other things going on in your mind.
For
Like,
sure.
I don't know if I'm good enough to be doing this, or how am I going to find my next
Yeah.
client, or what if I can't do this thing? Like,
Or comparison, man.
yeah,
Like
like
comparing yourself to
other
somebody
people
else.
are doing this.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a very, very common thing.
totally.
And it's something that wrestling match is never going to escape you. Like,
Yeah.
those feelings are not going to be something where you're like, all right, I've left those feelings behind me. I don't feel that way anymore. I think that no matter what, there's always a bigger bear. You know what I mean? There's always something that you can compare yourself to that's going to make you unhappy. But finding ways to be happy and excited about the process and in the moment is a different thing.
Yeah, man.
So,
for sure. For sure.
tell me this, right? What are some of the you like solving problems for small businesses, right? What are some of those problems that you see recursively? And what are some of the solutions that you find are most valuable when you implement that kind of transcend, industry and niche?
Yeah. Love that question. I feel like it's not just small business. I think it's any business. I feel like one of the big ones that I've been having a lot of conversations with clients about recently is just, it's the belief that a new product is what's needed to continue growth or to, continue incremental growth. When in reality, I think as I kind of dive into it or we start to have more conversations about the business, it's like, actually there's a lot, whether in your talent or in your products, your tech stack, whatever it might be, there's a lot that is not being utilized right now.
Sure.
It's being underutilized, and you have an opportunity to, based off of what you're already investing dollars into, you have an opportunity to drive incremental growth with that. But I think the natural tendency, and, I heard it all the time from, teams that I've been a part of and that I've led, hey, this next tool, it'll make all of our problems go away. It'll make everything easier. When in reality, like there's going to be something about it that you don't like. It's going to fall short in some way, or you're just not going to have enough time to go deep into it, whatever it might be. So I think the biggest thing is like, it's always asking the question kind of like why out of the gate, like why do you think that's going to be the tool? And then the underlying piece under that might be, it's like, actually your data within your business isn't connected, or the data point that you're most fixated on right now is actually not the most important data point to incremental growth.
Sure.
And your high value clients are over here when you were focused on something else over here. So that's such a common thing for me. And that's what I think agencies and marketing agencies can sometimes struggle with, is like, hold on, I have a scope in my mind and an idea of what I'm going to offer you one way or another. Like, let me just fit you into that box. And like, kind of like we were talking about before the show even started, it's like, man, there's something here that I offer to every client, and I'm just going to try and offer it to you.
Right.
When in reality, the best conversations, the best working relationships start with, but like, why do you feel that way? Having a conversation about it. And then the vendor or the partner being very transparent about like, here's what I'm good at within the challenges that you have. Here's the things I'm not so great at, but I'd be happy to connect you with someone else or whatever might go on. So that seems to be a common thing, man. It's underutilized kind of tools.
For sure. I mean, you have to, as a business owner, challenge your own underlying assumptions.
For sure, man. You get too close to the business.
100%. You have to look at things at a 30,000-foot view sometimes.
Yeah.
Still hard to do.
Very hard to do.
Yeah, it's probably maybe the hardest thing to do. But
yeah,
it's true. When you get too close to the business, you don't see things for what they are. You get too fixated on things. Like, we see this all the time in the technology world.
Yeah.
Because we do integrations with software, with payment solutions, right? And we work very closely with these owners of these startup companies, and they get in this features and benefits cyclone, right? That's what we like to call it. It's like, oh, I need to spend $10,000 more on another feature or another benefit, and then I'll get more clients.
Yep.
And then you do that over and over and until you run out of money.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then you still don't have, in your mind, you're already in this mental place where you don't feel like your product is where it needs to be for you to go sell it to people.
Yep.
When in reality, some of the most successful technology companies that I've ever worked with in my life, like whether we do the payments or not, I mean, ones that have onboarded hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of users in months, start with an MVP.
Yeah.
You know, they start with a product that is the bare bones of what they need to make the market, that solves one very specific problem, and they position it to people and say, give it a try. We're going to do more stuff later. And they trust themselves, right? And you can do that in small business as well. It's like you are so focused on trying to find other ways to be valuable to the people that you're working with that you can't just focus on the one thing that you do very, very well.
Yeah.
You know?
And just go deep on it. And
and just
time on it.
and talk to people about it. Talk to hundreds of people about it. Get feedback on it. Pitch it to yourself, and think about it from a very transparent value. Like, what are you good at? You know what I mean? Like that's actually my next question to you. That's a really, really good segue, right? Is we're talking about finding ways not to get caught in this features and benefits cyclone of trying to add a product so that you can feel more valuable to your customers.
Yeah.
As you're starting your business, right, with more know-how than I would say the common, tradesperson, right? I wouldn't necessarily say entrepreneur. A lot of entrepreneurs are very, very sharp, but the people that are very good at hanging garage doors, so they start a garage door company, necessarily don't know a lot about business. Not that that's a bad thing. Everybody starts there,
Yeah.
But what is that thing that you did very well when you're beginning your entrepreneur journey that helped you grow? Because it doesn't, working within a company doesn't necessarily lend you with a network of tons and tons of potential clients. Like I'm assuming you had to go farm and find those clients. So what was that superpower for you early on that was helping you grow?
Yeah, man, it's like, well, on one hand, it's really weird to talk so much about myself. But on the other hand, like, I love the opportunity to kind of reflect on it. And I think, I think for me, it's like just always been constantly learning. Like, that's where I'm most comfortable. Like, I love learning. I love variety. I love like learning about different aspects because I know that ultimately how those pieces connect is what's going to lead to like a healthy business. And it's like one example is, there's always these schools of thought that marketing doesn't like sales, or, marketing doesn't like operations, and operations doesn't like marketing. There's these kind of like, I don't know if we're allowed to cuss on the show, but these bullshit,
you're good.
these
you're
bullshit schools of thought that people subscribe to right out of the gate and just kind of assume that like there's going to be friction there.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's like, if you look at operations as the front line that's interacting with a customer face to face every single day, hearing things over and over. I was in restaurant operations, again, using restaurants as an example. Was in restaurant operations early in my career. You start to recognize like, man, why does the menu say that? Because everyone asks the same question about it, whatever it might be. That's context that you as the marketer can then use to make a better decision next time. That's not, man, so-and-so's griping, so-and-so has this issue.
Yeah.
So
we need to replace our whole team.
Yeah. Like it's really like being inquisitive about that. It's like, why are they asking that question? And really, how many people is it on a daily basis? And you start to get to whether it's something emotional, it's an emotional reaction coming from operations or sales, or it's like, man, this is a pattern that I would never see from my seat, but you're seeing it. And now how do we react and like build off of that? So I think it's just always been like asking questions and genuinely finding it interesting. Engineering, like, man, I don't know the first thing about it, but like any opportunity to learn the smallest amount or to understand a problem that sounds very complex is actually really simple because of X, Y, and Z. I don't know if I'll ever use that context again, but the way I approach all of those situations is this context is going to be useful. So let me lean in, let me kind of understand it. And I feel like now operating a business, like, the pet sitting business, or now the marketing agency, it's like, I start to see how those different levers, like, again, connect, and I can use it as a way to prioritize, like, does this feel like a real kind of issue at the moment, or will it become a bigger issue because of the context that I know? And like, man, I feel like that's helped me so much on just having confidence. And the rental properties are kind of the same thing too. It's like, it feels so random and different compared to everything else. But at the end of the day, it's, man, you try and place a tenant and you try and understand how they think about a property and how your communication is so critical in those beginning moments to show them that like you're trustworthy and all of that, that benefits you in other places.
Yeah.
Like, so just connecting all those dots. Like,
It's very valuable to approach things from a neutral position.
you bet.
That's what I found. Like, because you don't know what you don't know. And the most beautiful thing about this is that I'm very fortunate because the owner of my company is a wild animal, right? He is out of his mind, and he's also
In a good way, right?
he is hyper aware of what he's good at.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
And in a good way, he's the salt of the earth. Like, give you the shirt off his back.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? He's always treated me like an entrepreneur.
Nice.
Even like fresh out of college, limping around, knocking on flower shop doors. Right. Like, and he taught me. This is how he taught me: is us as salespeople, we would figure out these things, or we would see things that other salespeople were doing, and we're like, we want to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Jay's been in this industry longer than all of us combined. Probably not now, actually. We're probably gaining on it. But me and Roderick especially, which is our sales manager here, I've been here maybe 6 months more than him, but he manages all the salespeople directly, and then I handle a lot of the technology stuff and all the production things. So we have a very good working relationship with like what things we deal with for each other.
Yeah.
But Roderick and I would come to this conclusion like, we need this printout so that we can leave it with customers after we have a meeting and show them
The infamous one sheet.
this is the other types of businesses that we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And this is one instance that I specifically remember, but we have done this dozens of times.
Yeah.
Like the thing. We need the thing, you know?
Oh my
And
God.
Jay has always, it pisses me off in the moment bad. But what he does is says, I don't think that's a good idea. I've been in this industry in a long time, and I don't think it's going to work. But here's my card. Go order them. Because
Okay.
I want you to do it, right?
Interesting.
We want to do Facebook ads. That ain't going to do a damn thing for you, but here's my card. You give it a spin, and you let me know how it works for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes we come back and eat crow, and sometimes it works.
Nice.
And he knows that too.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, it isn't just like negative. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, it's a wonderful idea. Let's try it. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But every time he's given us that feedback of like, I don't think this is going to work. This is something that you should think about again. And he'll ask us, if this was your money and your business, would you
Yep.
do this? And we say yes. Not even very sure that that's true.
The look on your face.
Like,
was
not even
perfect.
100% sure
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that's true. You know.
Yeah.
But we're all salespeople. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? So it's like, you can't not give it with some conviction. You know? So I'm
Yes.
like, yeah, you know. And then we do it, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But that made me realize the value of approaching some of these problems from a neutral position.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I am so biased because of my position in the sales cycle that I feel I've convinced myself that I am underprepared for some of these meetings
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is true.
Yeah.
Sometimes I didn't have a good technology solution and I had to go find it. Or sometimes it would have been valuable to have something to leave behind with a strategic referral partner to get more business.
Yeah.
The vast majority of those times, that is not true. You had everything you needed and you didn't do what you needed to do in that
Yeah.
meeting or whatever it is. Maybe it wasn't your fault. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But that was really where I learned that approaching things from a neutral position is a key it's a key indicator of how well you manage other people's expectations and how well you manage your own.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way that I could
Man,
sum it up.
It's such a good story too, because like just the element of trust that is building there too, to do that over and over, that's like
Over and over. I mean,
that
every
trust-
3 months still to this day. Like,
that trust though is the fuel to your creativity that
No
keeps you
doubt.
thinking about what, man, maybe this could work. Because like
Mm.
the worst environment to be in is the environment where everyone's like, man, so and so is just gonna shut it down, and so
Yeah.
I don't even care anymore. Like,
Yeah.
and then everyone's just apathetic and
Yeah.
no creative ideas are coming up because one of them could work. One of them, it's not always the wrong idea. It's just the execution maybe fell
Yeah.
short or whatever it might be. So
And
I
one of
love
these
that.
days we're gonna have a good one. You know? This was one of those conversations. We should start a podcast, and Jay was like, "Fuck yeah, let's start a podcast." Now we're 300 episodes later, so some of them
That's
do work.
insane.
Some of
That's
them do
awesome.
work. No, it was literally like, "Hey, we should start a podcast and build a whole studio." And he was like, "I could get behind that." You
Hell
know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
man.
that's the type of leader he is, and it's literally gave us the ability to think critically in a completely different way.
That's so cool, man.
I
That's so
say
cool.
it all the time to people that I'm talking to. Like, I can't pay my company back ever for the experience that I've learned working here,
That's awesome.
because this is the last boss I'll ever have.
Yeah.
100%, because I don't even feel like he's my boss now. We're partners, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But this is the last time that I will ever be having a boss, you know,
That's
or
awesome.
flexibility. I still have flexibility, but
Yeah,
very, very flexible. But
yeah.
um,
I feel the same way about every role I've ever had. I
yeah,
could never pay anybody back for
dude, it's
everything
incredible
I've
the
done.
amount of experience, like this just the context that you gain from learning through other people's shoes is just insane. How
Yeah,
valuable that is to carry with you for your journey.
totally.
The flip side of that coin, what
Yeah.
was difficult for you at the beginning of this journey?
I think, man, what's difficult? I think, I think,
I love when people ponder this question, by the way.
no, it's like,
Difficult for me?
I wish it was me pondering it in that way. It's more so like, how do I articulate something that like is, I don't know, something I've been grappling with kind of this entire time, and I think it's like still being in the back of my mind, like still wondering if kind of plan B might be an option. So it's like,
Right.
it's getting to like your burn the ships question too.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you there, or should you still be thinking about plan B just a little bit
Mhm.
more? And that to me has just been, I think, a larger exercise to understand that, like, no, this is the time to go all in. And if for some reason something goes off course or doesn't work out, you're going to know. And then the other thing that I feel like I've been really challenged with is I've always been all in, like in every role. Like I think probably people I, reported to have at times been annoyed with me because I talk about just how much is going on and how busy I've been and all that stuff. When in reality, it was like I would always struggle with boundaries. Like I
Sure.
loved what I did and I wanted to make an impact. So I would work too long. I would always be on Slack. I would always be invested. And again, that's a good thing, but only to a certain extent. Boundaries and health is far more important. And I think what's difficult now is like when I work with clients and I am playing the role, maybe I've been brought on to play the role of consulting and to just coach and help them kind of see like, here's the next opportunity or here's what you could do. And then to keep my hands off.
It's a hard thing.
It's hard, man.
Yeah, it's a really hard thing.
So hard.
I do that. I do that as well.
It's a struggle.
It's like you may, whether you're talking to me from a videography perspective or a credit card processing perspective, like I enjoy those conversations of how to make money more than I enjoy the ones of how to save you money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's everyone is in their own place.
Yep.
Like the extra idea that you give someone might be the straw that breaks the camel's back and makes them go, I'm tired of changing things.
Yeah.
I got to stick with something every now and then. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like sometimes too much feedback is too much feedback.
No,
and
man, it's so true.
I had to learn that too. Like you can't implement 100 things in your business,
Yeah.
right? You can't carry your business home with you every single night, and you have to figure out ways to be happy right now.
Yeah.
To figure out ways to set good expectations for people and the impact that you're trying to deliver. It is a moving target.
Yeah.
And you have to meet people where they are. And so I can relate to that as well.
I think it's like something I found like somewhat valuable, but I still haven't like figured it out completely is just like trying to place, I think it's so easy to place value on your like working hours with your business or your job. If it's a W-2 or whatever, it's very easy to know like, because I'm doing this, I'm making this at the end of the year, or I'm making this at the end of the week, whatever it might be. And I feel like I've really just been trying to create some sort of filter for like, there's also value to downtime. There's value to playing tennis. There's value to actually being able to cook dinner or exercise or whatever it might be. And again, it probably sounds stupid simple, but it's like for me, at least, again, I won't place this on anybody else, but like for me, I didn't think about things that way. I was just always thinking about, I could be like building something right now. I could be making more money.
Yeah.
I could be like doing this. But it's like, man, there's so much value in that downtime.
If I just work really hard right now, I'll be more happy later.
Yeah.
It's so easy to dispose
So stupid.
of happiness and perspective now to try and think about it later.
Yeah.
It's so easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to do.
We all do
It's
it, man.
easy to make yourself miserable right now in hopes that you're paying yourself off later. It's not true.
Yeah, man.
Like I woke up one day and my kid was 6. You know what
That's
I mean?
crazy.
Like that's exactly how I feel. I have a daughter now. She's 11 months.
Yeah.
I blink my eyes and she's 11 months old.
Dude, time flies.
And it's this. It's working and agonizing over different things and hiring people and solving problems for people like. And now I appreciate my downtime so much more than I did.
Yeah.
Like now my perspective is so much different than what it was.
Yeah.
That I have a newfound passion for the time that I've earned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Well said.
It's a different thing.
Well said.
You're gonna experience. I feel for those people that are starting their business right now though, and fight the urge to work 80, 90 hours a week.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a hard thing.
Yeah,
it's a hard
man.
thing to overcome. You want to do it. I want to do it. I still want to do it right now.
Seriously.
Like I have to, like Slack. I have deleted Slack off my phone.
Man, it's crazy. Even after like 3 months of leaving my previous role, I still would all of a sudden, it's like a feeling on the back of my neck.
It's
like,
almost like anxiety too.
yeah, I would just be like, man, I need to check Slack and see what's going on. And it's
Yeah.
like, man, you haven't worked there in 3 months. What
Yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah.
But,
No,
Slack's
it's
crazy.
definitely a thing. Well, tell people 2 things. This is how we always end.
Cool.
Right? How do people find you? If they want to buy something from you, how do they get a hold of you?
I would love for people to find me either on LinkedIn, Justin Krivanek on LinkedIn, or you can check out my marketing agency website. It's bigtailwind.com. Easy place to find me.
Burn the Ship, right?
Yep.
Burn the Ship. Have you heard the illusion of Burn the Ship before?
Yeah. It was like based off of like
Cortez.
we have to steal their ships to be able to make it home, right?
So Burn the Ship. So what it was Hernan Cortez took this Spanish Armada,
Yeah.
landed in like modern day Mexico, and he was nervous about his men mutinying and taking his ships back
Okay.
because he was an asshole. And so what he did was the minute that they arrived on land, they took all their supplies off the ships and he made them burn every single one in the water.
Got it.
So they had no ships.
Remember.
Which is like, we're not going back. We're either going to figure it out here or we're going to die here. And those are your 2 options.
Full-blown commitment.
Mutiny is not an option. And maybe the stakes aren't exactly the same in small business, but I think everybody has that light switch moment where they're like, okay, whatever it may be, I've got my first client, or I see my logo for the first time, or I left my corporate job, or whatever it is. You have that moment where you're like, I have to be an entrepreneur now, and I have to figure it out here. I have to solve these problems because nobody else is going to solve them.
Yeah.
And if I don't, my business is going to, this thing that is coming to life is going to die right in front of me.
Yeah.
And so my question to you is this, is like, what does it feel like to make that jump for yourself? What does it feel like to burn the ship and go all in on your business? And why should other people that are kicking that idea around seek out the same thing? Because I think a lot of people probably relate to your story.
Yeah.
They relate to your strengths. They relate to your weaknesses. But unfortunately, a lot of people that are watching right now can't relate to that experience of going all in on their business for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because they're scared to do it, or because they can't do it yet, or they don't have the finances to make that choice yet. Like, obviously, going all in on your business is a measured decision at wherever you are in your life.
Yeah.
But I think all of us wrestle with that emotional impact a similar way. So that's my question to you is, what does it feel like? Why should other people kind of seek out that same experience?
Man, I feel like when you start, like I think back to when I first got the itch, and I feel like it was then, how do I keep stacking the deck in a way that mitigates as much risk as possible? And eventually, again, it was the belief that I'll get to this point in time where it's going to be absolutely obvious and absolutely perfect to start a business, and there's no risk of failure, or there's very little risk of failure. And I just kind of kept stacking the deck in different ways, like stacking skills, investments. And the reality is, the moment that I realized was earlier this year, obviously making the decision to leave, but I still had in the back of my mind, like, I might need to take a full-time role. I might need to do that, whatever. I had my first meeting with my buddy and business partner. He has another leather goods company, KMM & Co. in Atlanta. Great company. Check it out. But he was like, hey, since you're available, we'd love your help with our marketing. And I was like, cool, let's have a meeting and talk about it. Went to that meeting and sat down, had a conversation, realized in that conversation there's 10 problems that, not problems, just opportunities that I could help them with. And I got in my car, I got home. Later I sent him a text and I said, hey man, I'm all in. Like, that was the moment that I realized I'm going after clients and I want to do this for sure. Like, next day was building the LLC, building the website, like just really saying, like, outwardly facing, this is what I want to do. And it took that very emotional moment to realize, like, damn, there could be so much reward in this. And like, now's the time. It's the goodest time, is as good of time as any. And I'm just going to go for it. And, yeah, man, that was the moment where it's just like, let's go. Like, something's going to go wrong. Something's going to be hard, but it's like, let's go.
Something singular.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, man. And it's like, and there's people out there right now that have every reason, like, to say, well, I don't have the finances, like you were saying. But it's like, but are you thinking about that in too, siloed of a way? Like, actually, you could do, like, you could raise money from friends and family. Maybe that doesn't feel like the good vibe. You could find someone else who's interested in investing, sitting on some money right now, but doesn't have a good option, needs a managing partner, an operating partner. Like, there's all these different options that could potentially come up from it. But it's, I don't know, man. I feel like it's dumb to, like, try and make it sound like it's an easy decision, but like, it's probably one that most people have, like, already made their mind up about it, like, a couple of years ago. And it, like you said, it's just that getting past that emotional moment to say, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go.
The whole point of the conversations in the podcast in general that we have, is because we've done it in 200 hours of video on YouTube. The reason we've done it that way is because it's so difficult to convey how similar people are to the entrepreneurs that you look up to on this pedestal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you look up to XYZ business person, whether that's in your local community or somebody you follow on Twitter or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That person, it's like, a human and a banana shares like 99% of our DNA or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you probably have very similar experiences.
Yeah.
You have very similar, I can almost guarantee you have the very similar emotional tug of war as that person.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe you're dead broke and their family's completely rich, filthy rich, or they were in a corporate position where they got a 7-figure severance. Like, you never know where people are or what inspires to make people make that decision. But whatever is convincing you that you are not ready to make that jump or make that decision is completely manufactured by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because if I can figure it out and all of the people around me in my network can figure it out, and we can all work together to make some things happen, and we can work together to bring some value to some of these small businesses, I promise that you can manufacture a similar experience if you make that decision in your mind with some conviction and you get simple, stupid about the problems that you want to solve for people.
Yeah.
You can do some really cool stuff. So I appreciate you coming. It really
Thanks
does
for
mean
having
a lot.
me, man.
The floor
fun.
is yours if you want to, leave anyone with some thoughts.
Man, I think, like, what you were just saying about, kind of taking the leap is, I think it's so important. It's like you can kind of say, hey, I am an entrepreneur as of today. And then you can also feel like by tomorrow, if you're not Gary Vee or like Stephen Bartlett, that
Gary Vee was a huge inspiration for this podcast.
Oh, I bet, man.
The reason is because if you go spend about 15 minutes on Googling how do I start my business, about 15 minutes in, you're on YouTube and he is screaming at you because you don't already have $1 million.
Oh my God. Like, Gary Vee.
Dude, with conviction.
Conviction.
Yeah. So he was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Because I just hated the idea that was what people found.
Yeah.
Because like I hated the idea that I watched that and go, no fucking way am I listening to this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was literally my experience.
No, man, for sure. It's tough, and it's like what do you value most? What do you see as like challenging parts of it, and what do you see as just learning opportunities that are going to set you up for something else you know, down the road? But no, man, I love the conversation. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks.
And but I can help anybody solve, marketing problems, small business problems. Like I'm here to do it, but otherwise, like, just awesome to chat with you, man.
Same.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, my friend.
Yeah, man. Of
Burn the
course.
ship.
Of course.
All right, cool.